Gen Z are those born between 1997 to 2012. So we discuss on the role of social media and behavioral finance on Gen Z travel behavior. I cannot hear. Next. It's okay. Next. All right. As you can see here, we discuss on the role of social media from the life cycle hypothesis theory. So what is life cycle hypothesis theory? It says that early age, when we were born, we don't have much consumptions, right? And at the early age, like 20, we have needs, we have want, we have so much desires. So throughout this life cycle theory, we have different consumption, spending, saving, and investment. But we look at the from behavioral finance and social media perspective, meaning that as we get older, we accumulate more income and more saving. But here, we don't have much income. We tend to borrow money. So here, as you can see, as we grow older, here we become more stable. We don't have much desires, right? We just want to fulfill like what our children's needs and wants. But then as we get older and then we pass away. So the same cycle happens to everyone and everything. Okay. So here we want to see the role of social media, especially on use of social media and social media influence on Gen Z. What does it mean by use of social media? We use social media in our life. We open our social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. And influence of social media because of the content creator influence. Like when you're lying on on the bed and then you're watching your phone and then you scroll down and then you saw this place. Do you want to go to that place? Because of the gastronomy tourism, because you want to eat that place, because you want to travel to that place, because of the content creator post, the review, promote it to you. And then you subconsciously you tell your mind, okay, let's go to this place, right? And when we come here in Bangkok, the first thing we use is we use social media like TikTok to see the review, the up-to-date review about the places. How many of you went to Chatuchak? Not yet. Tomorrow, okay. Very good. Very nice place. So it's mean like we use social media to get a review, to influence us whether we should go to that place or not. But however, the economic finance about the financial literacy and financial security are remain unexplored, meaning that Gen Z, they are currently at undergraduate level. So we don't know about their financial literacy, financial security, use of social media and social media influence. That's why here we want to understand and investigate the role of these four variables on Gen Z travel behavior, meaning that, as you can see, in Malaysia, the buy now, pay later as 2024 equivalent to 7.1 billion. Can you imagine? Billion. Pay now, buy now, pay later. That means the 44% is from the young working adult. That means even though you don't have money, not you, Gen Z, they prefer to buy that experience first. Okay?
Dr. Siti, sorry to interrupt. You only have 5 more minutes left.
Sorry. I can
Just on the first slide.
next. Okay.
Sorry.
Next. Okay. This next. Okay. So I would like to explain about this study. So this study used the quantitative research design study, which we want to understand the use of social media influence, financial literacy, and financial literacy security on travel behavior among Gen Z. So we use in statistics, they have two, descriptive and inferential. We use the means, which is to understand the levels of each variable, and inferential, we want to understand which one is the strongest predictor to explain this one. Okay, so here we use the IBM SPSS version 29 and move to the next slide, please. And then the findings shows that social media influence, okay, here I already explained, we use quantitative research design, cluster sampling, all the crumble alpha is more than 8. Next slide, please. Okay, so all for the research objective 1 to understand the levels of mean for each variable, it shows that, okay, here the demography of the respondent is that the one of the reason I asked you about the platform, because majority of the Gen Z now are keen toward TikTok, 52%. Only 23.6% using Instagram. Initially, previously, all Gen Z used Instagram, but now they switch to TikTok. Why? Because TikTok have a very interesting platform like free shipping, vouchers, anything. You don't have to use Shopee anymore. You can use TikTok to buy item, and it makes things easier. And majority of respondents spend 4 hours a day using social media platform. Can you imagine? And 66% use it for entertainment. Okay. Next. So as you can see in the means level, social media use moderate. Social media influence, as you can see, high, meaning that they are keen and they are being influenced by the endorsement by the content creator. And financial security, relatively moderate, and travel behavior high, meaning that they are keen to travel, but they are considered low financial literacy, but they are still considered the travel behavior. Okay, next.
3 minutes.
So, okay, thank you so much. Next slide, please. Okay, so here, remember I told you, in statistics, we have two, descriptive and inferential. Here is the inferential. We want to investigate which one is the strongest predictors to explain the travel behavior. As you can see, 68% respondent shows the variance in travel behavior. And here, even though in the means level, all shows moderate to high mean, but here it shows that the strongest predictors to travel behavior is financial security, meaning that even though they want to travel, they still consider their saving, how much money they have, how much money or how many saving they have. But then they didn't consider the educations or knowledge about the finance. It's not significant contribute to travel behavior. They don't consider about the financial knowledge. They don't know about the 6 financial planning, which is saving, budgeting, tax, insurance, and so on. But here, the social media influence considered high also, meaning that in this study, it showed 3 significant things. Financial security explained 44% variance in travel behavior, and social media influence explained 32%. It shows that the role of social media significantly influenced the travel behavior. But in terms of behavioral finance, financial literacy still need to highlight in terms of content engagement, especially content creator, influencer. They have the responsibility to educate young generation, not just showing all the lavish lifestyle, because it actually have implications to our generation. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, I think I discussed about this. Okay, this one. Okay, so here we come again to this theory. Remember life cycle theory from Franco Mogliani and Richard Blomberg say that here until here, from the younger age until the early age, we have different consumption, saving and pattern behavior. So here, at this age, generations that tend to have been influenced by the social media platform, especially on travels, and they still have considered about their financial security. But one thing that we need to highlight is the financial literacy, meaning that we need to educate our young generations, especially on budgeting, especially on the tax planning, especially on the investment saving. Not just spend money, but save and invest money. That is our role.
Siti,
But then again,
you have
here it
time.
shows.
Can you move to the conclusion?
As a conclusion, okay.
Sorry.
Just now I mentioned about buy now, pay later. So maybe the stakeholders or government sectors need to integrate the digital to financial literacy engagements which to educate
You have
the
a conclusion
generation.
slide, right? You have a
Yes, I have actually. And also we need to, the time loading is quite, okay, that's the conclusions. As you can see, the significant factors that contribute to travel behavior is social media influence, use of social media, and financial security. But then financial literacy, we need to integrate that. So that's why AKPK, Bank Negara Malaysia, introduced the program to help the young generation. But also, we need digital platform to educate our young generations also. I guess that's all for my sharing sessions for today.
Okay, thank you,
so much for
Dr.
listening. Very excellent questions, Prof. Thank you so much. So just now we mentioned that financial literacy doesn't significantly explain the variance on travel behavior. That's why here, even though it's important, but the stakeholder, the government interventions need also to integrate the digital financial literacy informations. Like for example, now when marketer want to promote their product or services, they will call the content creator. But now in Malaysia especially, we don't have that kind of strategy yet. We have traditional method like AKPK from Bank Negara Malaysia. But in terms of digital, I think only from the private or individual persons that educate young generations about financial literacy, but just financial literacy not really highlight the investment, tax planning, all the 6 components in the financial planning. Am I answering your question, Prof?
Yeah, you should give, so the educating the Gen Z in terms of financial literacy is very crucial. It shouldn't take a backseat.
Yeah, definitely.
So is the role of the government, are you seeing this?
The role of governments currently, the Bank Negara Malaysia also one of the Bank Negara Malaysia initiative is AKPK. So under AKPK, we also have the financial education, financial restructure. But then some people tend to think that they need to pay for that services, but it's actually free of charge.
concern, even though they have knowledge on finance, but they still have this BNPL.
Yeah.
Than just knowledge.
7.1 billion last year. So can you imagine 44% is from young working adult. I think another question.
Yeah, another question? Maybe one more question. Yeah, please.
Thanks for your interesting presentation. I'm wondering that for the subject that you study, so whether the travel destination, I'm wondering whether the travel destination would influence different behavior, or have you looked in that area as well?
It's a very good perspective. In this dependence variable, I think that one we can integrate in the future study because that one is interesting. Domestic and outbound international different legislation area will have different preferences. Like local, maybe they tend to let's go there. They don't think about the money, for example. But maybe international they think. But when I conduct like interview with few informants, like I ask the working adult, they tend to travel around, and I ask that person, how do you have money to travel, right? And then she said using personal loan and credit card. So I think that's a very good perspective because we can see that people tend to have more experience than current stability. And thank you so much for your insight. I think we can integrate in the future study.
Thank you, Dr. Siti Yuliandi. I'm afraid time is not on our side.
Thank you so much.
Very interesting. Can we move on to our next presenter, Architect Putri Mayang? The topic is Strategic Speculative Futures Framework in Architecture and Strategical Development. Very interesting topic. Architect Putri, you can start now.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Good morning, everyone. I'm Putri Mayang Bahdat from College of the Environment, University Tanimara, Punchala, and together with my co-author, Dr. Maria from Madrid. So we will be presenting our paper today entitled Strategic Speculative Futures in Architecture and Sustainable Development. So the paper actually introduces SSSF, or Strategic Speculative Futures Framework. It's actually an actionable methodology. It's a structured framework that addresses long-term sustainability and also adaptive strategies for future uncertainties. Sorry, Prof, I'm just waiting for the slides to actually appear. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's me and my co-author, Dr. Maria. All right. So we are standing here at the crossroads. And as you can see, our built environment is actually rapidly evolving, caused by what we call it emerging challenges. All right, and these emerging challenges come with uncertainties. So as you can see, So we have few paths, all right, that we can take, and
please proceed.
All right, okay. So we have the yellow one, So where we are looking at the conventional methods, where we are actually making decisions based on familiar, structured, but often reactive solutions. And then we have the other, what we call it, pathways. So as you can see, a lot of other pathways that actually entitle us to whether or not we should actually rethink how we do things, how we make a decision and so on. That not just looking at the present context, but something that deals with our future uncertainties. Maybe I just share with you, So without the slides, so see whether I can actually deliver it without the slides, Anyway, when we talk about evolving challenges, all right, for example, these are caused by three major forces. So first we have the societal transformation. And these societal transformations actually demand inclusivity. So I think that you know about, we often talk about participatory engagement and so on. And second, we talk about digital disruptions or technological disruptions. And when we talk about technological disruptions, these actually define the way we do things, the way we what do you call it, find solutions, the way we design, the way we practice. And of course, the last one, I think this is very, very common in the news, yeah, especially that what is actually happening in the world today. We are talking about the escalation of climate crisis. So when we talk about escalation of climate crisis, yes, this is the one, all right? So this one threatens, in a way, how we actually, the current methods of how we do things. So it actually questions whether should there be a new way of doing things, a new way to find solutions that bring us to what they call it adaptive strategies and long-term uncertainties. So probably just get a question there. And this, all of these challenges, it brought to one bigger question. So how do we respond? And our current methodology enough. All right. So should there be a new method of doing things? Okay, can I put another one, please? Okay. All right. So we often hear the word long-term solutions, but not long-term uncertainties. So what's the difference between these two? So when we talk about long-term solutions, we are looking at the what you call it present, what you call it problem solving. Yeah. So for the future, which means that we are actually acknowledging what's now. But when we talk about long-term uncertainties, we are actually anticipating. So which means that we acknowledge that the world or our built environment is actually rapidly evolving. It's already transforming. Yeah? So the thing is that from these long-term uncertainties, so we need to anticipate emerging challenges. We need to anticipate uncertainties. So we need to design flexibility in mind. So at this point of time, if just say we design something to do with long-term solutions without acknowledging the uncertainties, we may risk of designing future that may not exist, all right? So looking at the current methodology, especially like we talk about fragmentation, lack of systems thinking, limited future anticipation, rigid and linear planning, and also speculative capacity. So all of these brought to one question, all right? With the, what you call it, we need to actually design something that we need to actually address future uncertainties, adaptive strategies, and also informed decision making. Can I find this? All right, so what is the role of architecture? So architecture plays an important role in addressing all these, what we call it, emerging challenges. All right, so architecture needs to be holistic. It needs to, what you call it, address participatory engagement. Yeah, it needs to have what you call it, a balance. Yeah, in terms of technology usage. And to do this, yeah, with the help of strategic foresight and also speculative design. So the idea of anticipating the future shifts, or what you call it, adaptive solutions, this can actually enhance how we project and how we foresee our future. Yeah, okay. So this study actually introduces the strategic speculative futures and also the strategic speculative futures framework. So this one, what you call it, the strategic speculative futures and framework, or SSF, is actually a framework, actually a methodology that addresses the limited current architectural methodology to address what you call it uncertainties, adaptive strategies for what you call it, a long-term uncertainty future uncertainties. All right, so the idea here, yeah, so we actually investigate the gaps in current architectural discourse. All right, so if we put together what they call it, another one, the three pillars of strategic speculative futures. So the idea of the strategic speculative futures, it actually combines the three core pillars. So we have system thinking, we have strategic foresight, and we have speculative design. So when we talk about system thinking, it's actually allowing us to see things interconnected, which means that integrating that it's not just one portion of it, but we anticipating that, you know, architecture and the environment are pretty much, very much connected. Not just the built environment, we have the economic points of view, we have political points of view, and so on. And strategic foresight is to be able for us to anticipate multiple future scenarios. So we talk about multiple future scenarios, we have possible future, preferable future. We have what we call it wildcard futures, all right? So this is actually comes with the range of the intensity of the future, and also with phase actions. And we talk about speculative design. Because when we talk about strategic foresight alone, it's very rigid. So when we talk about speculative design, this allows us to actually visualize, imagine what the future would be. Okay? So this is actually three pillars. And we came across this table. So this table actually addresses all the key limitations in current architecture technologies. So from here, for example, we have lack of the system thinking, failure to address uncertainty, and also limited use of strategic foresight. And all these things, we try to bridge the gap, sorry. So by bridging the gap, we use the 3 pillars of sustainability. For example, when we talk about rigid and linear planning. So we have the speculative design to actually allow us to visualize the future. And also we have this fragmented and also reactive solutions. So where we actually uses the strategic foresight for us to actually, what they call it, anticipate the future in the future architecture and also the built environment. Okay, can you move on, please? Okay. So this is actually the strategic speculative futures framework. So this derives from the strategic speculative futures, and the framework is actually designed to be very dynamic and also adaptive all throughout. And what they call it, the framework is actually divided into 2 parts. So we have the purpose-driven integration, and also the next one is strategic and speculative integration. So when we talk about the purpose-driven, so we start with identifying the issues. And of course here, because we want to promote the participant engagement, so we do get the stakeholder engagement to be part of the solution. And then after that, from here, we define the primary goals. So when you talk about defining primary goals, it can be 3. Addressing future needs, explore uncharted possibilities, or you can even predict the current trends. And from here, we establish the aim objectives. Now, the idea of this aim objectives is actually to align with long-term resilience and adaptability.
3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So from here, so you can see the second part is on the system thinking and strategic foresight. So actually when we talk about system thinking is what is in the present. Foresight is something that what's in the future. So we use trends-driven weak signals disruptors from the PESTLE, within the political environment, social, technological, legal environment. And we have this speculative design here to help us build the scenarios. Imagine the visionary part. And from here we have the phasing, which means that this framework allows you to actually determine short-term, medium-term, and also long-term, and also anticipating risk so that we can design with adaptability and resiliency. Okay, can I move on? All right, so this is actually the framework being translated into actionable real-life strategies. So we call it SSSF systemic mapping. So you can see the whole picture from the present the past, present, and our, what they call it, the possible future scenarios. So this one is actually a story. It tells you in terms of we can identify the gaps, what actually is happening, and we plan for the phasing, So we have the short term, medium term, and also the long term. So we are actually anticipating the future, making an informed decision, and also adaptive strategy for future uncertainties. Can you move on? And yes, so as I said, provide a systemic framework, to anticipate the future. So it actually embeds this long-term foresight and architecture. As I mentioned just now, we have 3 pillars of strategic speculative futures. But for now, this what we call SSF is still in conceptual stage. So we are now moving to the empirical validation. We are working on that. And this SSF requires
Architect Mayang. I'd like to open opportunity for participants to ask questions to our speaker. Question for a very interesting topic.
Very
please.
interesting. I'm wondering whether you
Feel free to ask.
Okay.
Cannot hear the question.
Hello.
All right, we can hear you now. Great. You can ask now.
Okay. I'm wondering whether you plan to use artificial intelligence or AI into the foresighting plant and household.
Yes. So that one will be our next stage, which means that we are using that to actually predict the trends, you know, the disruptors, the weak signals. Yeah. So this is our first stage. So the next stage will be working with more, you know, people from the computer science background to help us identify how to actually navigate that. Yeah. So it's evolving, yes. Right. Any more questions?
Thank you, Architect Putri Maya. May I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Given the resistance from conventional architectural methodologies, what strategies could be the most effective strategies in accelerating adoption of the SSFF in the real world projects?
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Actually, I already got the resistance. Yeah. But anyway, because I think that if you look at this current situation with all the COVID, you know, with all the climate crisis, I think that, you know, this sparked us that we need what we call it a new solution. Of course, that the idea here, because, you know, when it comes to the bigger picture, like the costing, everything, so people might be a bit skeptical. But I think if you would talk about, you know, having to say that, like I mentioned just now, if you just design, just not without anticipating the future uncertainties, then you may risk of designing something that may not actually happen in the future. So that is actually what they call it, not so good point. So this is actually one way for us to actually expand the impact of this SSF. Does that answer your question, Prof?
Yeah, so there should be more session of engagement.
Yes, correctly. So we are working with the practitioners now, the next stage.
Yeah, great. Okay. Thank you very much. Any more questions? You still have time. Any more questions from the text? Yeah. You mentioned about community-centered, right? So it's inclined towards meeting the community needs.
It's more like participatory because we are talking about bottom-up. I think in most cases we are talking about top-down approaches, right? And I think that there's what they call it, people are what they call it, emphasizing public participation much. So this one actually allows us for a bottom-up approach as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be more session of town halls, engagement with the public.
Yeah.
Thank you, Architect Putri.
Thank you so much.
For the first presentation. For speaking to the ladies. Thank you very much. Can we have the third presenter?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all participants. Okay, first of all, my name is Muhammad Faisal Ahmad. I'm from Faculty of Music and Performing Arts UPSI. And my topic is a bit different from the topic you just listed just now. But I'm focused on the performing arts. Yeah, how the social change in the performing arts context. Okay, my title is a depiction of social change in the musical theatre Nutrisi Cinta Ibu, Mother's Nutrition, during the breastfeeding awareness campaign. Okay, next. For the young generation, how many of you still use a formula milk for the babies, especially for the mothers? I know. Can you raise up your hand? Okay. I know this is a big old issue, but how many of you just get affected from the campaign of breastfeeding, especially for young generation? Okay. So the musical theatre has a long served as a powerful medium for storytelling, allowing audience to engage deeply with social issues through performance, music, and drama. By blending the narrative of storytelling with music, the production aims to create a compelling emotional and intellectual impact, fostering greater acceptance and understanding for breastfeeding. So this paper will explore how the musical theatre format enhance public engagement and influence social perception regarding the breastfeeding. Okay, next. Okay, this is the literature review. I would like to point out for this part. So this is for the Madura, 1977, revised on 2001. He said that in the case of breastfeeding advocacy, traditional health campaigns often rely on factual dissemination through pamphlet, medical lecture, and public service announcement. However, this method frequently fails to engage audiences, emotionally limiting their ability to inspire meaningful behavioral change. And we go to this one. In the context of public health awareness, theatre have been used to address issues such as HIV prevention by Campbell, mental health by Prensky and Preston in 2009, and gender equality from Bowles 1995. And according to Bowles as well, theatre provides a platform for marginalized voices, enabling communities to reflect on the question-dominant ideologies. Similarly, applied theatre have been instrumental in fostering social change, particularly in health education and behavioral intervention. This is by the Sexton 2009 and the Prendergast and Sexton 2009. Okay, next. Okay, the methodology of my research. This is totally a qualitative research. The case study for the theatre musical Nutrisi Cinta Ibu, wrote by me and directed by me, and the lyrics also by me. Okay, this is content analysis research. Sorry. Okay. So from this research, in identifying recurring themes, the three elements: the script, the song lyric, and the character development, which is I use the advocacy system. Okay, next. Okay, so for this research, I got social learning theory by Bandura. This is a bit outdated research, but it revised on 2001. Not so many elements that has changed. Only the 2001 is focused on the teamwork. All right. So the social learning theory by Bandura says that which proceeds that individuals learn by observing and modeling behavior demonstrated by relatable figures. So for this research, I use three types of methodology. The first one is a survey to all the audience to assess change in breastfeeding knowledge, attitude, and willingness to support breastfeeding initiative. And the second one, focus group discussion, FDG, which is focused on the audience and the staff from the Ministry of Health, and together deeper insight into their emotional response and reflection. And the third one is comparative analysis, which is evaluating the effectiveness of musical theatre against traditional breastfeeding awareness campaigns. Okay, next. Okay, so I straight away go to the finding and discussion. The first one, for the narrative and character development. For the musical Nutrisi Cinta Ibu, present a structured narrative depicting a group of journalists who evolved from skepticism to advocacy, reflecting the broader societal shift towards increased acceptance and support for breastfeeding. This transformation highlights how storytelling can challenge preconceptions, foster empathy, and encourage behavioral change. So, next. So we can see they have a few characters in this screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 characters. Every character brings the different role. So we can see the first one is between a lead journalist. For the initial view on breastfeeding, he's a professional, natural, focused on news quality rather than message impact. And the transformation and final perspective, he becomes a passionate advocate for breastfeeding after understanding its health benefit. And the second one, young reporter. This is represent the new generation. So Najwa is uncomfortable discussing breastfeeding, sees as a taboo subject, and finally she realized the importance of awareness and actively support the campaigns. And the third character is Aiman for as a senior journalist. This massive sees breastfeeding as a private issue. And the transformation of the character, he gains empathy after witnessing mothers struggling and advocates for supportive policies. And the third one, the new journalist. He finds breastfeeding discussion embarrassing and irrelevant. So the transformation, he overcomes discomfort and recognizes breastfeeding as a vital health issue. Okay, this is the important role, the Kak Melah. Kak Melah is a cleaner in the office, in the journalist office. So, Kak Melah is a strong proponent for breastfeeding from personal experience. And the final one, she still maintains her role as a guiding voice, helping the journalists understand its significance. And the last one, represent all the young generation mother. So the mothers represent the struggling with workplace challenges, stigma, and misinformation, and the transformation and final perspective, empowered through the campaign's message advocating for their rights. Okay, next. Okay, this is the impact of different musical numbers on the audience engagement. So in this script, I wrote 5 songs and 5 lyrics. The first one is this is a Malay musical actually. Yeah. So the first one is the assignment song called the assignment tugasan. The second one is Anugerah Tiada Tara, and the third one Alasan Semata. It shows all the reason from the mother why they still use a formula milk. Okay, the fourth one is Mangsa Si Kecil, the innocent victim. Because of the formula milk, they cause a lot of cases. Okay, and the last one is Nutrisi Formula Terbaik, the best nutrition formula. This is the advocacy message in the song that I show on the lyrics. Okay, we can see one by one. The first song introduced skepticism towards breastfeeding. The second song explains the scientific benefits of breastfeeding. The third song shows highlight workplace barriers and societal pressure. And the fourth song shows the consequences and educate breastfeeding support. And the last one, call for collective action to normalize breastfeeding. Next. Okay, this is the discussion for this research. Audience impact, emotional engagement, and the role of theatre musical in advocacy. The combination of lyrics, melody, and performance creates a powerful, immersive experience that resonates deeply with audiences, often leading to shift in perception and increased empathy towards social issues. And the second one, the result of the audience survey indicate that the emotional engagement elicited by musical music Cinta Ibu contributed to substantial change in perceptions of breastfeeding, workplace support, and societal attitude. And the third one, the findings revealed that audience engagement and emotional investment in the storyline significantly contribute to shifting public perceptions and increasing support for breastfeeding mother. And the last one, the final result, shows that by depicting real-life struggle, cultural taboos, and systematic barriers, the musical highlights the importance of workplace policies, family support, and community engagement in creating a breastfeeding-friendly society. Okay. And the conclusion. This is all the actors. Okay. The conclusion, compared to traditional health campaign, the musical theatres provide a more immersive and impactful approach. Even this is an old issue, but I think this is not effect to all the mothers, right? Okay, so ensuring higher message retention and inspiring action. Future public health campaign could benefit greatly from incorporating art-based strategy. Recognizing that emotional engagement is just as crucial as information accuracy and driving meaningful social change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faizal. Set to open for Q&A. Questions to a very interesting topic, breastfeeding.
Yes.
Question?
I have a question. Can you explain more about the way that you gather information from the audience in terms of like, I don't know, survey or question, or how you get the...
Okay. Actually, before I wrote the script, we have a discussion from the Ministry of Health, and we have an interview for all the young generation mother between 20s to 30s years old. So we got all the information why they still use a formula milk. So the reason that I got from the survey, the most important reason, I think that a ridiculous reason, they don't want to look fat. They don't want to look fat because they said the first one, and the second one is time barriers, because they all the working mother. And then the fourth one is they still think that use a formula milk is a shortcut to raise up the babies. They don't believe in breastfeeding. They don't believe in that. That's the information that I got from the survey and from the discussion with the focus group. Yeah. Yes?
Yes, one more question.
I've got one question because I just wonder because
Feel free
you.
to ask the
Pardon?
Yeah, proceed.
Okay. So I've got one question because you are sharing about the theatres and you want to see the effect of the, even a knowledge or attitude about breastfeeding among the participants who watching your theatres, or I don't understand how you measure the effectiveness of your theatre can influence the knowledge or awareness about breastfeeding among the audience.
Okay, thank you. Actually, the performance was held in August 2024 in UPSI, while the Ministry of Health in Perak, they have a campaign in UPSI. So we all got almost 500 participants, audiences on that day. So from that, we use half of the audience to distribute the survey after the performance, and we have a discussion with some of the audience and the staff and from the Ministry of Health. So that's how I measure from the survey. So that's how I measure the result from this campaign. They said that they can focus more on the message compared to traditional campaign. So that's it.
Hello.
I ask
have questions, Prof?
Yeah, sure. Any more questions, please?
Yes, me.
Okay.
This is very interesting study. However, I'm quite confused with the qualitative research design contents analysis. My questions: how do you validate your content analysis study? And then you mentioned about the quantitative design, which is the survey, focus group discussion. Maybe you can highlight the validations of the content analysis.
Okay, thank you. So the validation of the script and lyrics. So when I wrote all the lyrics for 5 songs and the script I sent to the Ministry of Health, and they evaluate all the message that I wrote is equivalent to the issue. Okay, the first one. The second one actually this is not touched on the quantitative aspect, because I don't use any SPSS or percentage or that. I just use a survey to get the information from the audience only. Yeah. Just to get the awareness. Yeah, just the awareness, not touch on the percentage and everything. Yeah.
Can I ask another one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, any more questions? We still have time.
Okay. Why you choose your samples among the journalists? Because as I look, because breastfeeding is a public
Yes.
information, a public issues. So, but the respondent that you choose, that might be a reason why you take that kind of samples.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting questions. Okay, the journalist is a character that I developed to create this narrative and the storyline. So the Ministry of Health asked me to create a storyline which is not a typical storyline that happened in the hospital and that happened in the among the mothers. So I create a new narrative which is happen among the journalists. They need to discover, they need to cover about that topic. So that's the journalist is not a respondent, but that's a character that I created for the script to bring the narrative and to create the character development for the issue. Yes.
Doctor, if you can single out one particular item within your theatre, which particular item do you think is the most influential item that can influence breastfeeding among mothers?
Okay, for my opinion, based on my research, song is a powerful element that can bring an advocacy to the communities. Because every day we listen to the song and we listen to the lyrics, and lyrics in song is the most powerful context to deliver any message to the community. It doesn't matter what kind of issues, breastfeeding, HIV, gender equality, and everything. For me, we can use this platform, a musical platform, from the lyrics from the song to bring the new message to the community. Yes.
So the quality of the song is very crucial. Don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we need to create a song that can relate to every generation. Yes.
Do you think your model can be extended to other public health campaigns?
Yes, I hope so. Exactly. Yes, because after I did this performance, they asked me to create another story about HIV. Yes, for the next campaign. Yeah.
So you should have collaborations with the health ministry regarding this.
Yeah, sure. But I still need to do a copyright for all the songs.
But I think that there is also an issue about this emotional aspect where the accuracy of the information. One is the musical theatre, but the other aspect is the accuracy of the information. How do you validate the accuracy of the information?
Okay, thank you. Like I said just now, every single lyric that I wrote for the song evaluated by the Ministry of Health, especially from the doctor, because it contained the fact and the reason why they don't use, and the cause and effect for the breastfeeding. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faizal, for a very interesting presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, one question.
I think we still have time for one question.
Yes, one question, please. Sorry. Okay, I want to ask because I'm a songwriter as well, a songmaker as well. So I want to ask you, for the songs that you make, what genre is it? At the same time, you said it's focused on every generation, right? So how far do you think the gap of generations will go to accept the music?
Okay, so basically in this kind of musical, they have 5 songs. So it contains a ballad, it contains a rock, it contains a pop song, and it contains a bit rap as well. Yes, so it can match to all the generation, I think.
Thank you.
That's good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for your very interesting presentation, Dr. Faizal.
Thank you.
Hope we can continue the lecture. So our fourth presenter, welcome the fourth presenter, Salih Pisali.
Hello everybody, good
The title of the presentation is Sacredness of Food Offerings.
Okay, from the musical theatre we move to the sacredness, which is a very different topic. We talk about the spiritual dimensions. So who's believe on the spiritual dimensions, maybe we focus on this slide first, then after that we apply to people. Maybe I will do some spiritual taste to everybody. Okay, let's start. Okay, I'm Salih Bisali, also from the Faculty of Music and also the Performing Arts. I focus on the performance study, focusing in the rituals perspectives. Okay, so the title, The Sacredness of Food Offerings for Spirits in the Spiritual Healing Practices of the Bajau Laut ethnic, which is the second largest ethnic in Sabah, which is the Borneo, a part of Malaysia. So this is the second biggest ethnic, followed by Kadazan Dusun, and the next is Bajau Laut ethnic. Okay, we move to the first slide. Okay, I like to introduce the spiritual worldview and healing practices of the Bajau Laut community, focusing on the unique blend of beliefs and ritual traditions. Let's start with the animism and also the syncretism. The Bajau Laut people hold a deeply rooted animistic belief systems, where natural elements and ancestral spirits are seen as active forces in their lives. Over time, these animistic traditions have been infused with Islamic influences, which don't have any conflict at all. The animism and also the Islamic influences don't have any conflict. So they blend into one of tradition. They believe there is a conflict with the religion and also the animism that they created into one of the traditional belief systems. So from that, the biggest celebrations of the ritual events in Bajau Laut ethnic is a Mag Ombok ritual, named as Mag Ombok, which is ancestor celebration for harvesting prayer. This is the central healing ceremony practiced by the Bajau Laut. It's spiritually charged event where ancestor spirits are invoked through food offering, music, dance, and chanting. Before this, my previous study, looking through the research, focus on music, dance, and chanting. But now, here I focus on the food offerings. So lastly, we look at the spiritual communication. In these rituals, food offerings serve a sacred role. They're not just a symbolic gifts, but actual media for dialogue with a spirit world. So meaning, the food is one of the medium to communicate with the spirit world. So let's to the research aim to explore how ritual food offerings function as sacred communication. How the communication can be defined through the food offerings. Next. Okay, the methodology that I use to achieve this, I employ a qualitative research which is focused on the phenomenological approach. And in terms of because I want to engage the participatory observation and conduct in-depth interviews with the samples. In terms of the semantic analysis, I categorize the ritual food offering because I'm using the peer sign system model, which is the sign divided into three, which is icon, index, and also the symbol. Sorry, I get typo there. Next. So as a result, the types of ritual offerings in the Mag Ombok ceremony, I identified 4 types of food, which is the buas kuning. In Malay, we call it nasi kuning. This is a very iconic food offerings in any rituals to the Bajau Laut ethnic. The second which is panyam, but in another ethnic, they call it kui penjara. But the name in Bajau Laut, they call it as panyam. And then polo polo. The name of the polo polo in others is they call is epok epok sayur or kui jemput jemput. Yeah, same, but 2 different icon as into the food. And then is duro is a rice cake. Yes. So for these 4 types of the food is a very iconic food to the rituals events. Okay. How did I categorize into iconic and also to the indexical and also the symbol? Okay, let's start with the iconic function first. Okay, according to the peer semantic, in the context of Bajau Laut, food offerings often take a specific shapes, colors, and forms. Okay, 2 different shapes, right? These are triangular shapes and also the rounded shapes. Okay, maybe can somebody tell me your first view about what is the difference of triangle and also rounded from the floor? Anybody knows? Yes, good. The genders, good points. The genders, which is a male spirits or woman spirits or female spirits? Which one is woman? Okay, good. Thank you. The white. This is a female and also this is a male. How did you know the rounded without look at or join my research? But you know the rounded is a female, but the triangle is a male. Yes, that is correct. That is the iconic symbol to tell the visual resemblance. This is the direct visual observatory to tell that it's a female spirit and this is a male spirit. Okay, thank you. I think you can collaborate next. Okay, next is symbolic color form, which is the color yellow. Often in verse kuning is a purity of the sacredness. Yellow is significant to the sacredness. Even the king, or in our country, in Thailand, I don't know what is the icon color for king in Thailand, but in Malaysia, it's significant with a yellow. Same goes to the sacredness colors in the Bajau ethnic rituals. And then the tabu-driven perfection, which is interestingly, the offerings must be without flaw, which is any imperfections, like create the shapes of this form. If they're not perfect, the rituals cannot be gone or cannot be done until they do a flow with a very perfect shapes. For example, like me, when I do the flow, doing the rounded of the yellow rice, if not perfect, the whole rituals cannot be done until all the food offering is going perfect. So how many of the foods they put? Okay, we look at the symbol. Next slide, please. The indexical functions. Okay, the spirit presence indicators, inclusive preparation rituals, and also the community cohesion. I divided the index, which is in the Mongkut ceremony, several elements of the food offerings the spirit presence indicators. Okay, during the ritual, scent of the food, especially rice and incense, are understood as sign that spirits are present. For example, like before, when the assistants provide the food, the smelling of the food prepared, we know we going to break and take the food, right? For example, or something like a cook the rendang before raya, we know that is raya is coming, and then the next we eat food for the raya. Same goes with the rituals. When they prepare the food, the rice is get a strong smell, meaning the spirit is around. Okay, please close your eyes, everybody. Please close your eyes, everybody. Close your eyes. Now, what the smell strongest to your nose? Nasi lemak. Okay, nasi lemak, because you are thinking on that. But when we under spiritual conversations, when the smells like a rice is more stronger, so we know the spirit is coming, is around. So that's why the credit is to prepare in front of the ritual floor. So when the sense is coming, so they tell me the indecical is the spirit is comes. And then next, the exclusive preparation rituals. The rituals preparation is very, very complicated and very complex, because to the food is they appointed a ritual specialist, which is dayang known as the assistants for the shaman, which is the shamans known as the kalamat. And there go to the community cohesion. The preparation and consumption of ritual food also function as index of the communal solidarity, which is when families and spiritual leaders participate on this food preparation, they cannot absent. When somebody like another sons or family members not join from the first day until the third day, the rituals also cannot be done. You must join from the first day until the last day. If they don't, the ritual it's considered failure. Okay, next slide. And the final is symbolic function. Why I said thank you for the girls that tell the shape and gender representation. Like the triangular is significance to male spirits, the rounded is to female, and also the quantity and codes of the meaning. Because in one rituals, when they call for the female spirits, they need to prepare 44 of buas kuning, 44 plate. And then for the male is 55. So the odd number is prepared for the male spirits and the even numbers is prepared for the female spirits. So we know the spirits come to the rituals is a male or female based on the quantity of their food offerings. And then these symbols is not arbitrary because this are passed on through the generation. That is one of the belief system started from the ancestors. So they cannot change or they cannot even do innovation for the ritual itself. So they need to follow. And why I do this? To explain this is the symbolic or this is the one of the sacred communication from the food offerings. Next. Why is it the sacred communication? Because this is a multimodal meaning. Food offerings convert a layered spiritual. Like I said before, like one of our friends that explained, they know the rounded is the ovum, right? Sorry. So they know that is the analytic that we can explain. But from the community, they don't know. They just explain that it's a rounded is a girl. But as the academic researcher, we know that and we explain that from the academic way. So two different things. But I want to bring this into the discussion because we want to explain the food offering itself is how we want to enhance the sacred communication theory. And then the human spirit dialogue, of course, the ritual bridges the gap between the material and spiritual. Because before this, we just saw the music and also the dance and also the chants is the way how to talk with the spirits. But how the food itself can give a sign or symbol that what we want from the spirits. Then the cultural continuity, of course, that is how we want to bring the culture of the Bajau. That is one part of the research my friends also focus, which is they want to bring this topic and also this research about the Bajau learning into one living museums. This is our group research done by this year or maybe until next year. So this is the cultural continuity next. And lastly, the discussion, conclusion and recommendation. So I put a 3 main point conclusion, which is a spiritual dialogue. Food offering serves a sacred language, bridging human and also the spiritual realms, and preservation of rituals. Strict tables and structure rules maintain the authenticity. And lastly, symmetric ritual reinforce communal entity and adapt through the symbiotic integrations. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salih, for the presentation. Let's open for Q&A. Any question from the audience? Question from the audience?
If maybe somebody will interested with the research, we can collaborate because I really need a few person to join for my next research about the foods. Maybe we're doing something like a multidisciplinary. We can talk later because we get the grants, but I need to find some different fields to join the research about the food offering itself. So this is what the offer to everybody want to join. Yes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
I just want to compare because in Chinese community, right, when they do an offering, they will ask the spirit, do they accept the food offering or not? But how do you guys know whether the spirit accepted the food offering?
Okay. First, when the peoples get a transcendental, before the rituals, before the ritual is started, okay, the shaman will do a day before the rituals is made. They are asking for the spirits, but we don't know the processes because it's very secret. But when the shamans going out and tell, okay, the spirit we need to invoke is a male spirit. So all the assistants prepare for the male sign or also the food offerings. But sometimes when we are going to the female spirit, the shamans will tell the assistants. But the rituals we cannot, I didn't make a research for that shaman because it's very secret. So that's I can explain now. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, no question.
Alright, actually my question is similar to the previous questions about the different ritual process, right? But then, can you enlighten us about the spiritual healing practices? What type of, healing that you got?
The healing is actually was the alternative. I think the alternative. Let me think first. The healings focus on the alternative treatment. For example, like the transcendental processes. For example, like my research before God, the woman is.
Can I?
Yeah, sorry.
Because we are in the same
yes.
group, it is actually focused on the healing to the sickness because of the spirits, because of the imbalance of the microcosmos and macrocosmos world. They believe when someone gets sick, the patient has Singong has doing something bad that make the balance of microcosmos world and macrocosmos world imbalance. So we have to offer to do the healing ritual to make the balance during the cosmos world. So it is focused on the sickness caused by the ghosts, by the spirits of ancestor, and by the spirits, by the guardian spirits of nature, such as the spirits of the turtle, the spirits of the sea, the spirits of the forest, and etc.
In Malay, they call tulah. Yeah, they call it tulah.
Okay, may I ask you about this pure science system model?
Okay.
How useful do you think this pure science system model in your methodology?
Yeah, because like this, Prof, when we are doing the sacred communication, the basis of to apply the sacred communication is using the science. So there are many types of the science, but I'm taking the basic is iconic, index, and also the symbolic, because from the icon they delivered into the index. From the index they delivered to the symbol. When we got the symbol and the meaning from our samples, then we bring and then we put as the to the analysis that bring to the sacred communication. Sacred communication itself is defined from the symbol. So the symbols, we cannot apply that symbol like I'm doing the red symbol is to the brave symbol. But from the indexical, we can compile the communal signs from the ancestors, or maybe like a sample belief and also the phenomenological. So we apply this is the most relatable to our research form.
Okay. No, I'm sure. I'm sure the budget community has evolved over time with modernization, with changes in healing processes brought by modern approaches. Yeah. How do you think this ancestral tradition of healing will be sustained in the long term? Or will there be some modifications to it?
Okay, that is the very good questions, because when I asking the samples, they try to do some modification. Unfortunately, when they are doing the modification, they will get some bad reputations, I think, because when they create the bad reputation. Maybe my friends can explain about because they are doing the research. Shah?
Prof. Actually, the ritual itself is now facing the cultural erosion because of the modernization itself. even though they achieve the
We cannot hear you.
belief,
Yeah.
actually the ritual is now facing cultural erosion during the modernization itself. Even though, as my friend said, the Bajau Laut achieved the syncretism belief with this mixture of paganism and Islamic thought. But now, during the upon modernization, the Islamic thought is now being dominated, and more less and less ritual being performed. Now, actually, with the suggestion of JKKN, Jabatan Kebudayaan and Kebudayaan and Kesenian Negeri Sabah, and also LKNS, we all work together to transform the healing ritual into a traditional theatre performances, like as many Malaysian theatre, Nusantara theatre traditional performances that all are rooted from the ritual. So we are now wanted to transform the Mongkut to the theatre traditional performances as a way of sustainability and preservation, actually.
And one more thing, Prof, they are actually from that community. They hire who's the next generation to take over the ritual systems.
Continuity
Yes.
of the tradition. Thank you very much, Saleh.
Thank you, everybody.
Presentation. Yeah. The fifth presenter, Nur Fatihah bin Maksud, present a paper on shaping values and perspective, impact of community projects on student learning.
Hello, good afternoon. Today I will be presenting about shaping values and perspective. So I'm Nur Fatihah from Architecture School, UCSI University. So basically community architecture is relatively new in Malaysia. I think for the other modules, they never integrate community architecture in their syllabus. But for architecture in our school, next, we have done transformative learning to replace the conventional learnings that's normally the student practice. So our focus is to see the level of engagement of students in community architecture and what the process that they did in this subject. So for the key process, if you can see the key process, we go through a lot of difficulties to change the student perspective from learning theories into the practical worlds. And then for the outcome, we can see that the learners, which is the student, actually develop new things of set of thinking, which is not necessary in theory, but also how the theory they can replace into the new world. And then if you see, our goal is to encourage creativity of thinking for the young learners, for the students, for the new generation to learn that it's not only learning in school by theoretical, but also how they can adapt their skill that they have to the new world or the community. Okay, next. Okay, so our focus, if you see the focus assessment, community architecture in higher school or higher university level, they have institution and also course specific level. So for our university, we focus on community architecture, which is for diploma in architecture UCSI University. And then if you see, in this community architecture, we're focusing on cognitive, behavior and affective, which is pre-project, during the project and also after the project. Okay, next. Okay, so for under methodology, so this research methodology we adapt course engagement questionnaire to the student to get the feedback of how, for example, let's say this community giving a different perspective for the students. And then we're focusing on the community architecture in our university, and then the analysis and findings, which is during the project, for this community project, actually we did a playscape, sustainable playscape for underprivileged children in Yayasan Chowkit, which is in KL. For the limitation, because this project is only for one base project, and then we didn't compare to other universities that maybe have a community architecture in their syllabus. So the student engagement, we focusing on 4 different what we call this one, engagement. We have affective, we have cognitive, and then behavior, and then also we have see how this community project actually impacted them in terms of cognitive skill, which is their theory, affective, which is how they get, the sympathy to the community, and then how the behavior, for example, let's say their set of skill can contribute to the community in this project. So if you see the theoretical, which is cognitive, which is of course from the lecturer or maybe from the lecture itself, through reading and also discussion among the student, which is young learners. And then for theoretical, which is for practical part, actually the student are given a set of practice before they can embark to the real project of community. Next. Okay, so if you see here, for our syllabus in community architecture in our school, we put into 4 stages, which is stages 1, appointment of leader, which I will explain later. And then we have participation in event. And then number 3 is more on hands-on, which is building the prototype. Means before they are building the real prototype, actually we already teach them how to do all these things, which is more to soft skill. And then the last one is the compilation, how all the 3 stages end up for the compilation and then present to the community itself. And then if you see here, our goals for community architecture is not about theoretical aspect. That's why we put engagement with the professional. So in this project, we are building a playscape for community in Yayasan Chowkit. So we integrate with community, which is Yayasan Chowkit itself. And then we have professional, which is all the design actually go through architect, and then the student have this kind of tutorial session with the architect, and then we also invited industry expert. So for example, let's say when the student building something, of course they need to know how to build, and then how the process to build that things. So we have engaged with Malaysian cabinet and also steel construction company. And then number 4 also I think is very important for the alumni to give back to the new generation or new set of the student. So we try to achieve this kind of goal when we do this kind of community project. Okay, so if you see here, basically for the community engagement, the teachers or the one who teach the student actually is observer only. So in this community project, I will say it's 98% the student-based learning. Means if you see for the stage 1, we ask the student to appoint their leaders. So this one is by election. Means for example, let's say our student we have here is around 46. So they the one who choose the student, and then they the one who lead the project. And number 2, if you see the applied engagement, so if you see here, it's more on theoretical parts. Because the project is like 0 cent funding, so the student need to find their own funding to run the project within the short semester, which is 7 to 8 weeks. So in this category, the student will, for example, let's say visit kindergarten to understand what the children needs when they are building a playscape, and then they also did own toys for selling for crowdfundings. And also, they also go to our MATLAB to build by themselves. Means it's learning before they embarking to the new project. Next. Okay, so if you see the stage 3, so this one is quite interesting engagement, which interactive engagement. If you can see here, the student receive the feedback from the architect itself, how to build all this playscape, how to build something from the steel, and then they visit the factory. So during the visitation, actually the student learn. It's not from the theoretical part, but practical part, how this one can be built, how this one can be function to the children of Yayasan Chowkit. And then if you see the middle picture there, that's how the student, they have the set of skill, which is software skill to do all these things. It's just the theoretical part come when they engage with professionals. And then the last one, self-discipline engagement, we can see actually the student exhibit the works. And also the student actually invited the community to test the product in our university. So after the event, because this project is zero funding by any agencies, so student collective money, when they build this playscape, they also give back to the community. Means it's not stagnant there, so we are giving back for the community. So from this stage, self-discipline engagement, we can see how the student actually sacrifice themselves to build all these things, to understand the community and giving back to the others. If you see the factor of engagement, when we do evaluation, which is through survey, we can see most of the students actually involved in compilation, which engaging means giving back to the community. From our study, that the first one, which is goal orientation, which is number 2, the reason why, because when we do a community project, a real life project, of course the belief of leadership is very important. So most of the students, more than half of the students actually participate in choosing their right leader. Because without the right leader, then the project won't run smoothly, I would say. Next. Okay, so basically the conclusion based on our study, we have done a community project in our school, I think for 8 years already. And then we have like 4 stages. And when we evaluate actually this what we call this one, community project affecting the student in terms of different set of skill and then different way of thinking. Because our student is from private university, so sometimes they don't know that this kind of people, which is like B40, below 40, exist in this community, and then how they can help these people to achieve their dreams or to achieve something for the community. So number 1, if you see here, for the conclusion, transformative learning actually foster leadership. This one is reflect based on the stage 1, because you need to have trust when you are building a community or run a project. And then you can see number 2, community project, of course, is aligned with quality of education for everybody, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, so it should be equal. And then we can see here, it's related also with SDG 11, which is building sustainable community. So I think nowadays, if you ask a set of the students, like maybe young generation, sometimes they ignore what is around them. Maybe they are focusing what is ahead, but they never look back what is left behind. And then number 3, I think the student gain hands-on experience, of course, number 1. And then number 2 is communication skill. Because during in university also, because we send the student to deal with industry partner, professional, actually is improve their skills, how to talk with professionals in this field. I would say overall for the community architecture is impacted the student itself and also the community surrounding us. For last one, the limitation of this study, because we are building, that one is the last project, which is a combination of student idea to do a sustainable playscape. But at the end, the limitation of the study, we couldn't integrate all the student design into one phase. The reason why, because community, which is Yayasan Chowkit, they don't have place to put all these things. So currently the playscape is like one piece by one piece. And we haven't achieved this sustainable playscape in one, what we call this one design yet. So maybe in future, maybe next year or maybe this year, most probably it's going to happen when the Yayasan Chowkit got the place, so we can integrate more community architecture in this project. Alright, so I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keha.
Yes.
I'd like to open for Q&A from participants.
Thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about the questionnaires? What is a questionnaire to measure
Okay, for the questionnaire, actually we divide into two parts. One is the soft skill that student gain, and then another set is hard skill. So the level of soft skill before and also the level of soft skill after the student embarking into the project. So the set of question we give before project started, which is during the stage 1 and stage 2. And then after that, after the course finish, which is after week 8, and then we ask the student to re-evaluate back. So what's the difference between two? So means whether they gain confidence after the project, or maybe they think it's the same, or maybe it's lessened.
Because I didn't see the analysis part of the questionnaire. So that's why I didn't understand about the result. Because I think you are claiming that the teaching method that you are using is can improve the engagement of the student. So if you can put more about the results or the way of the analysis, that would be better. Thank you.
Yes, understand. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Any more questions, please? Feel free to ask.
Yep, just continue from Chumphon. For the engagement, how can you measure the engagement during the workshop or the project? Because there are different kind of engagement, for example, like discussion, or I'm not sure whether what criteria or what categories of engagement that you measure during the project.
Alright, I think for level of engagement, we are focusing on participation in event, which is stage 2. But yeah, it didn't show in the slide, which is we discuss more on the paper. So level of engagement, actually we divided into two. One is from the student side, and then also one of the community part. So for the community, actually we are focusing on interview set. And then we didn't put in the full paper, because right now we are focusing on student perspective rather than community perspective. Yes.
Any more questions from the floor?
Yes, one more.
Okay, again, this is interesting, Sadie. I have a few questions actually regarding on your instrument, because this is cost-based.
Yes.
Cost-based. So the student is compulsory to take this course, right?
Yes.
So you mentioned there's pre, during, and post. So I just wondering, like in IUM, we also have this kind of courses, like they have to do community engagement. But is that, yes, Sulam also, after that they are willing to do community engagements again, or it's just for the sake of the courses?
Okay, in UCSI University, we have this kind of theory, not theory, I think is university kind of keywords we call as a praxis. So in UCSI University, we adapt this community architecture or community engagement also with the other theory subject. So for example, let's say for studio works, okay, for studio project, it's a must to collaborate with community. So means this one, this community architecture is a stepping stone for you to learn how to engage with the community after that. So in other courses, for example, let's say, yeah, normally it's for studio subject, then we integrate into the other subject also lah. So it's integrated. So normally for previous project also, like every semester we make a compulsory for the student to have like studio project but real life project. And then actually in our university, because it's practice university, we have NGO also, we call as a collab. So collab is the student representative student that do the community project like every year or not every month lah. I mean for 1 year maybe 2 or 3 project. So you can, you can go through collab UCSI University, then you can see how the student handle this kind of project. So it's continuing, I would say assessment or continuing project lah for our university. Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, please.
Okay, sorry, Doctor. Based on the 4 stages, for the project-based learning,
yes.
What are the benchmark or the key indicators that you give to the student to success the every stages, and also how you align, to the course learning outcomes from the three of domains, psychomotor, cognitive, and also the affective, because you want to enhance their confidence, right?
Yes.
So I just want to know how you mapping to the domain, maybe.
Okay, actually how we achieve, for example, let's say CLO for this subject is based on stage number 3, which is building prototype. Because stage number 1 is about theory, selection of leader. Stage number 2 is about theory. And then stage number 2 is a combination, which is we can see theory and practical. If, for example, let's say that semester the student failed to deliver what they should do, means the project is not successful, 100% successful. And then during compilation, which is stage number 4, then we can see how the community give back the feedback. So to answer your question, the key point or the key indicator for any community project is stage number 3, building the prototype. Because for architecture, we are building something. We are not just a theoretical or just like one phase deliverer. Okay, so the project should be successful now.
So maybe one last question from me.
Okay.
You mentioned about the SDG 4 and SDG 11, right?
Yes, yes.
How do you actually, can you give examples actually?
Okay, for SDG 4, because that one is quality education for all. Okay, so when we give, when we deliver this kind of project, we also engage with like maybe kindergarten and unprivileged children. So when our students visit these unprivileged students, sometimes they don't understand what the other people needs. Okay, so even for example, let's say when they go to kindergarten, they never understand what actually the children needs. So I think maybe that stage, they try to understand that the importance of balancing and the importance of education for everybody, not for their level like rich kind of students lah.
Okay, thank you, Fatiha, for a very interesting presentation.
Okay, thank you so much.
The questions as well. Thank you very much. Let's sixth presenter, Ms. Nur Hayati Zulkifli. Title of paper is Integrating Community Engagement, Architectural Education of Path to Skill Development. Yeah, so the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So my name is Nur Hayati. So Ms. Nur Fatiha, the previous speaker, is my teammate. So this is actually a continuation from the previous presented paper just now, but this is focusing more on the skill development of the students. So the title of this paper is Integrating Community Skill, Community Engagement, Community Project in Architectural Education. So we're going to look again at the skill development for the architecture students. Okay, let me just recap a bit about this community engagement. So we think for the modern architectural study or education, it's very important to engage community together within the education. This is not like a one side benefit to one side, to the student only, but also can benefit the community because they're going to like engage actively or participate together within the on-site project within the day itself. Okay, and then we will explore the how does it increase the skill set or for the architecture student. And then we can see that from this community project, it can, we believe that it's a need to have this community engagement so that we can, not to say shift from theory, but you know, it could be important or significant aspects, okay? So to have like a better graduate that can be well prepared before they can, as soon as they enter the industry. Okay, so why community and project or engagement, we can actually bridge the gap between the theory and practical knowledge. So you can see from the slide here, those are the photos taken during the on-site works by the students. This site is just specifically mentioned. This was in November last year in Pulau Langkawi, Langkawi Island, Malaysia. So it's a skate park located in Langkawi. So they want to be proposed to the community, which is requested by the community there, to replace the old call it audience seating or grand seat to the new pavilion using sustainable material, which is bamboo. Okay, that's why number 3, we want to support the SDG Sustainable Development Goal number 11, which is to have to support the sustainable city and communities engagement. Okay, so again, as mentioned previously just now, previous presentation, this community engagement, so you can see from the photos are taken students with the community, the owner of the skate park, and also the users of the skate park itself, okay, where we collab. And apart from the community of the skate park, we also invite experts, which are the bamboo specialists, and also local architect from the island itself. Okay, and then we believe that by having this community project, it can develop critical thinking, teamwork, and leadership, which will support the domain, especially the affective and psychomotor. Okay, so as you can see here, we have 3 skill set: soft skill, hard skill, and confidence can support those, especially 2 domains out of 3, which is the affective and psychomotor. It can be seen through the especially 2 stages mentioned before: the leadership, communication, problem solving, and then especially on the hard skills, students will know better on the techniques of construction, tool proficiency, and how to select the material, and then gain more confidence rather than just reading books, know about theory, but they can now apply in real life. Okay, the method is a mixed method. For the instructor, will do the observations, also not just from the instructor but also from the expertise. Okay, and for the student side, we'll get the feedback by surveys, structured question, objective and open-ended as well. Okay, the likelihood, how they feel. Okay, in terms of, for example, the confidence level before and after, as mentioned before. So this specific project in Langkawi involved 52 architecture students in diploma level. And for this research, I'll just focus on 2 stages. There are students' participations during the events in stage 2 and the prototype production, and we'll analyze the cognitive, behavioral, emotional engagement through the surveys given to the students. Okay, so from the surveys received, we can see these are the findings. We can see their growth in terms of their confidence level, their leadership, and their communication skills. All of these 3 are showing increased percentage number, and then in terms of the hands-on learning, where during this stage 2, we'll invite experts to give talk and also some workshop specifically for bamboo. Okay, since this is using bamboo material for the pavilion, and then for the technical skills, also all students show agreed that they feel that they can improve their proficiency in tool and techniques of construction and understand better in terms of the material and budgeting and costing. So not just from the this number not just from the student side, but also with from the observation made by the instructor and also the experts. So they will call it consult the expert, the architect and the bamboo specialist before we start with the construction of the bamboo pavilion. So we believe that this community project indeed enhance the teaching learning for the architecture students, where they expose they have the exposure in the real world during the design process and execution, and then the hands-on experience through this prototype construction will improve their critical thinking during the construction. And then in terms of the community engagement, we can see that students have a better communication skill with outside of the institutional, the university. As I said just now, that in the survey we've open-ended, so from the feedback we received from the students and also the experts, we recommend that we should have some structured reflection activities like journaling, before and after the project, and then not just limit the expert from built environment like architect or project, but we can also engage with other stakeholders, like maybe from social science experts, arts and design, and then also we want to strengthen more on the pre-project training and mentorship program. Now for this number 3, we actually already initiated, which before the 5 days pavilion construction, we have like a 3 months preparation before we go to the site. So like I said just now, with the experts, a workshop, and then crowdfunding for to fund the project. So as overall, we believe that community engagement project significantly can better enhance the teaching, learning and architectural education. So since it is, we will say that our school, this is the niche of our architecture program in our university. The niche is community project, which not all schools have incorporate this in their curriculum. And then also students indeed develop their skills, soft, hard skills and confidence in terms of social awareness and responsibility. And because we keep inviting all the experts from the industry, we can have like a better partnerships from the academia and also architecture industry player. Thank you very much. I think that will be it.
Thank you very much for your clarity, for your very interesting presentation. I'd like to invite participants to ask questions. Questions from the...
Hi sir, I'm really interested with the community service learning because from the side of the architecture, sorry Doctor, I just want to ask, how, from the lecturer side, how many assignments did you cut from this project? I mean, how many assignments, and also do we teach you spend or allocated with this project? Because you said it is the project number 3, right? Prototype.
Stage 3, yeah.
Stage 3. So how many assignments, or based on the project you count, or how many weightage you allocated for this?
Alright, so for the domain of this course, we test affective domain and also psychomotor. So 50% of it will be the outcome, which is the project, the pavilion. And then 50% is the documentation, the management and everything. So the pavilion itself is the assignment, but yeah.
Nur Hayati, it's not just about developing technical skills, right? Because one of the most important aspects of the project is social responsibility. Yeah. So how do you actually bridge the gap between developing technical skills and at the same time enhancing their social responsibility?
Okay, one of the way that I can see is we don't just have diploma program in our school, but also degree level. So some of these diploma students will be further their study to degree. So in the degree groups, some of them coming from not directly from diploma, which means they don't have like a basic knowledge and skill set from these diploma level students where they already exposed to community. So we can see the difference from there. These students where they already have the hard and soft skill, we can see from their works, they are doing better actually. So we believe that this exposure enhance their learning in architecture program. Yeah.
Any more questions from the floor? You mentioned about, since there's no question, you mentioned about academia industry partnerships, yeah, right?
Yep.
For future growth. How can we improve? What are the strategies that you think can be put in place to enhance collaborations between academia?
So as mentioned before, for my teammate, we have collab already, have this like a body in house, and then through internship engagement industry, student that doing intern, and then we like closely having this communication with them and keep inviting. Also in-house activity like doing a review session with the students, and that's one of the methods. Yeah.
So it's sustainable as well.
Yeah.
The project is on the same communities or different by the batch? You develop on the same communities every year or different?
No, different.
Oh. So
we're gonna have this brainstorm stage session where should we do the project, to whom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it focused in KL only or?
No. The previous, as you heard just now, is in Chowkit,
yes.
And then this was in Langkawi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it is good. Maybe go to Sabah.
Real life project, right? Real life.
Yeah, even in Bajau Laut community also with one, but it's a different team. So I'm not really sure with the project.
Okay.
Nice. Expand the horizon.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yes.
Time. One last question.
Because there are many students involved in this project, right? How you evaluate the development of each student? It's quite complicated in terms of the background of each student is different.
So during the first stage, where they will break into groups for different tasks, they will appoint one leader. So at the end of the pre and post project, they will have this peer assessment. Yeah.
So each group
yes, correct. So it's not just observation by the instructor, but also within among themselves. Yeah.
Thank you. It's time.
Okay, thank you.
Time is up now, right? And I think thank you very much for your very good contribution. Our final last presenter, for number 7, Ida Marina Maglan.
Hi, good afternoon. I know everyone wants to go for their lunch break. So hopefully this is a quick one. My title is Rethinking Architectural Education and Why Technical Skills Alone Won't Secure the Future of the Profession. Before we move forward, I'm also from UCSI, so this paper is only focused for Part 1 graduates. So in architecture, there's 3 parts, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. So Part 1 is the degree graduates, Part 2 is the master graduates, and Part 3 is the professional exam. So the reason why I chose Part 1 is because in our curriculum, we only have internship in Part 1. We don't have internship in Part 2, and I'll explain about it much later. So as you know, in general, education has shifted to just not providing hard skills, but also providing soft skills. And with adequate soft skills, this would actually produce better future graduates. Okay, next. So of course, when the shift happened, this affected architecture education as well. But in architecture education, it's a bit more complicated because it's a professional course. So although the higher education have done a lot of studies, a lot of models on how do we actually have like a better collaboration between industry and education. For architecture education, because it falls under a professional course, it is also controlled or advised by the Lembaga Architect Malaysia, which is a nation lembaga. I think you also have one in every country. Okay. So in the past, as we know, only only technical skills were important. In education, we always stresses on, okay, you need to be very good in technical skills. However, it has come to our attention that contemporary officers or contemporary firms are actually looking into soft skills because they felt that technical skills alone is not adequate anymore in terms of sustaining the career in the future. So this actually aligns with the Malaysian higher education framework, which emphasizes that we need to prepare graduates to have to be able to respond, okay, to global challenges that include not just climate change, economic instability, but also to look into adaptability and also decision making. So these would fall under soft skills. So the study examined UCSI University internship program. So next. All right, let me tell you a bit about the internship program. So internship program is no longer it used to be a compulsory for our program under architecture studies to have internship study. But I think Lembaga Architect Malaysia has stated that it is no longer a compulsory to conduct an internship study as part of the program in order for you to graduate. So because of that, a lot of institutions can opt whether they want to include practical training or no. Okay. So a little bit about the UCSI internship program. It happens at the end of the study. So we have 3.5 years of study. So the half year is dedicated towards the internship program. So this internship program happens in the duration of 3 months. And why do we put it at the end? This is to increase the employability of our graduates. So sometimes if our graduates are really suitable for the firms would take them in as permanent staff. Because employability is also a concern among future graduates, okay? Because there's a lot of unemployable people. Okay? So it happens 3 months, and it is also created because of this, because we want to match the employer's expectation and graduate skill. So in terms of employers' expectations, they seek more of the soft skill, while in graduate skills, we train them more in technical. So because we only have, in our program, we only have 16 weeks per semester. So we need to ensure that they are technically assessed properly, okay, per semester. So there is a skill mismatch that affects their career progression. Okay, so we look into experiential learning because we felt that internship is also part of experiential learning, and internship and mentorship is not something that is new, because if you were to look in the past, Frank Lloyd Wright, Le Corbusier, Mies van der Rohe, these are all based on mentorship education. Okay, they don't have what we have, like a structured curriculum. Okay, and then we also look into competency-based education, which I actually look into Tibet and IDEAL. IDEAL is a program, a framework that was done by the Ministry of Higher Education, and IDEAL focuses on industry learning, okay, how to integrate industry better into the curriculum. So it focuses on real-world skills like BIM and sustainability, and structured learning enhances graduate readiness. So the whole idea is to look into how do we bridge the gap between education and also industry. Okay. So in terms of methodology, we did a mixed method study. We analyzed 73 internship evaluations. This 73 is a one year intake. Okay, so technically it's 2 semesters, because every semester we have, every year we have 2 times of internship. So this study is limited to only a 1 year study. Yeah? And we look into the employer feedback and competency assessment, and we look into how do we analyze the soft skills, what are the soft skills that the students are good at, and what are the skills that students are lacking in. Okay, so this assessment or this evaluation was based on a form that was distributed to the employer. So the employer filled up the form and it's being divided into a few sections. But for this paper, I only focus on section 2 and section 8. But section 2 focuses on the list of skills, and section 8 is where the employer is able to give an open-ended feedback on our graduates. So section 2 is more on quantitative, and section 8 will be more on qualitative, and I use a median score to actually know what are the skills that, what are the skills proficiency and what is lacking in our graduates. Besides that, as a practice, besides this form, which is not included in this study, besides this form, lecturers were also, we also need to visit the student at the firm, at the architectural firm itself, and we have another form for the lecturers to evaluate what the students feel about being in the firm and what is lacking, that they felt that we have a list, what are the things that you need to learn within this internship. Okay, next. Alright, so in terms of the findings, the study shows that students are receptive to guidance and collaborate effectively with colleagues. However, the lowest rated competency was client interaction. Okay, however, when I look at this based on my experience when I went to visit the firm, a lot of these students are not exposed to client interactions because we don't have, I mean, we do have community program, but we are talking about community. And when you talk about architecture firms, their clients are not community. So their clients are paying clients. So it's a different way of communicating. So we do have that limitation, okay? And it also depends on the firm, whether the firm wants to expose the interns to this as well. Okay, so I find that when I interviewed employers, when I talked to them, when I wanted to know the feedback on our students, so these are the things that they said, oh, okay, these are the things that we didn't have time to expose your students to. In terms of Section 8, employees' feedback, difficulty in understanding real-world project workflows, okay? Lack confidence in decision-making and public speaking, limited understanding of building codes, authority approvals, and regulations. I think number 3 is also because for Part 1, for degree graduates, we don't, we possibly minimally only expose them to building codes, authority approvals, and regulations. So all this, they will find it's a bit hard, or it's their first time learning about it. Struggles with BIM, 3D modeling, and architecture software. So although we have provided, I believe we have provided sufficient technical in terms of CAD, but it also depends on the firm, what kind of architecture software do they use. So we are only limited about, we only use Revit, SketchUp, and also CAD. So this depends on the firm, and we do not teach BIM. Yeah. Hesitation in proactively finding tasks during downtime. This is also something that even the students say that, oh, we find it hard to actually tell the employers what kind of work can we do. So, next. So in terms of the key challenges, as an overall summary, the graduates struggle with leadership and communication. This is because when we do our theory or whatever, we only provide group works, okay? And these group works are limited within their class and within the people that they know, and most probably the group work is within their friends. Okay? So there is a struggle in leadership and communication, weakness in client interactions and problem solving, which means that they are a bit lacking in critical thinking. But as I explained just now about client interactions, they are not exposed to clients that are in the real industry. And number 3, which I think is very important, 3-month internship duration is too short for effectiveness. So as you know, in our uni, we have the diploma, we have degree, and we have master. So diploma also have an internship program, but their internship runs for 6 months, while our degree program runs for 3 months. And in order for them to go into Part 2, it doesn't matter which university you want to enroll to, it is a must for you to at least practice 6 months, not including any internship that you have done, which I think is very short as well, in order for you to prepare for Part 2. Because Part 2, for me, when I look at my Part 2 students are very mature. They're supposed to be very mature, very critical thinking, because they're supposed to create their own project brief, which is not guided. Okay, next. Okay, in terms of bridging the skills gap, okay, although it says here strengthen technical training in design studios, technical in this term means more of rules and regulations, building codes. Perhaps on our side, we should also teach them more, or not really teach them more, integrate them better into our design studio. Work integrated, extend internship duration, or adopt work integrated learning, which I have an example later. Collaboration, enhance academia, industrial collaboration. So far, what we have done in our school is more towards internal reviews. Okay, we have reviews that we do invite professionals. Number 2, we also have sharing sessions that we do invite professionals as well. But I'm not sure who presented that paper just now about interdisciplinary. I think that's very important as well, because who we invite are just limited to architects. So I think in the future what we should do is to also include engineers, because they're the ones who would know about construction. If you ask the architects, we know how to design, and of course we know how to construct, but in terms of structure, it's much better to get the engineer to come in. What about QS? So in order for them to be able to know what is the real world, they should have this interdisciplinary from study. All right, next. Okay, so this is an example from Excel playbook on ideal. So in this suggestion, it says that in the first year, you should be spending time in uni, okay? But as you go on to your final year, we should be collaborating better with the industry by having them to have it part of our semester, that they should be spending a few weeks, at least half of the weeks. We have 16 weeks, maybe they can spend 8 weeks in industry, and we handle the 8 weeks. So it has to be gradually done. And this is just an example from Excel playbook. They do have a few examples, but this is more of a general example. I did try to apply it to architecture education, but that is for another paper. And this is also another example.
Sorry, you have 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Almost done. Recommendation is to align curriculum with industry needs, incorporate structured internship training longer, improve leadership and communication skill in development, which we should do it in school as well. Next. So in terms of conclusion, soft skills are crucial for career success. It's more sustainable. Our experiential learning and competency-based education would help to assist the bridge, the gap between industry and education, and to have stronger collaboration between academia and industry, not just in review and also in terms of having them over to have sharing session, but it should extend further, even looking towards having a collaboration between university and also supplier, because they are actually very good in the new construction, the new materials. So it's good to expose the students to this. So yes, that's it. Thank you.
One question from the participants. Question is Frida. Yes, sure, yeah.
For the communication skill, you mentioned that even they have a chance to go to the internship, right? But communication skill still lack in terms of communicate to the client. But I think for me, it's just not only communicate to the client, but in the team of the company. I'm not sure whether you concerned about that also, or just communication between the
That is, thank you for the question. Communication, there are a few parts in their form that has asked about communication. One is communication between teamwork, which I believe is also part of communicating with your colleagues. And number 2 is the communicating with client. It's just that the client one is much more highlighted. I think, okay, this is off this paper. But when I visited, what they said is that because of the duration of the internship, which is only 3 months, they believe that you take 3 months to assimilate into the firm itself and to get to know people who are the people who are working with. And then after that, suddenly it's gone. So the time duration is actually very, very important. When you talk about internship, it cannot be too short. When it's too short, then you're actually just learning to assimilate. So one of the, if you were to look back at the Excel playbook just now, I think the way that they did it is something that we can look into, whereby the assimilation of them going into firm is being done in the 2nd year, and it is not a separate part as an internship, but it is part of their program. Yeah.
Because the sorry.
Question for the Prof?
Yeah, that's why I think communication in a team or in the firm is because they do the internship in a short time, right? and they also the student. I think the company not allow them to direct communicate to the client because with their maturity, something like that. So if you focus more on the communication in the team or during the teamwork in the company, that's going to be another important issue that that's going to help them to. Because firstly, as the internship or as the young architect in the firm, I think the communication between the team, I think that's a crucial one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you think that this technology in terms of online learning and teaching have an influence on soft skills of our students?
Okay, because the students that I was looking into are not sure are they COVID students or not. Maybe they are in the first year, but the rest of it they should be in school. I don't think it's the online teaching or learning. I honestly don't think so. It's maybe because in uni, like what I said before, in our studio, even in all semester, we are limited in that group of students. So I think they know how to communicate with that group of students, but they don't know how to communicate with outside of it. So that somehow limits their communication. Yeah, because when they go to internship, most of the time they are alone. We only allow 2 students. If at most 2 students can go in one place, we don't allow more than that. If not, they become only communicate with themselves. So that's also something that we try to avoid.
Yeah, please.
Since 3 months for the internship, I just wondering from the UCSI curriculum, how many times the lecturer will come for evaluation to evaluate the students?
We only come once.
At the last months?
Yes, at the last month, but not on the final week. We try to come at least 1 month before they finish, because we have a checklist of what the employers need to expose our students to. So for example, if the employers say, okay, we haven't had time to bring them to the construction site or attend a meeting with client, then we would encourage the employer, can you please try to do so before he or she finishes internship, because it will be very beneficial for him or her. Of course, this is not a compulsory actually, but we try to persuade the employers because I think that would really enhance the student.
Sorry, one more question. Is it possible for the student to fail or?
It is. It is very rare, very, very rare, but it is possible because our assessment is divided into employers' assessment and our assessment, and they have to submit like a logbook where they need to tell us what they have been doing for the past 3 months. So there were students who failed in the past.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ida.
Thank you so much.
Very interesting presentation, and to all presenters and participants to ensure that this session has been run smoothly. Yeah. It was a very useful knowledge sharing session. We're blessed to have very interesting presentations. And I hope this knowledge sharing session will enhance further knowledge that we can take home to our place, yeah, work and even to our real life. Yeah? Thank you very much again. All the best to you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Round of applause, please. Thank you so much, Prof, and thank you for sharing the first session. And I hope you enjoy your lunch.
Yeah, thank you. My own lunch. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your lunch.
Yeah, we're about to start our lunch.
Right.
Okay. So we should now have our lunch in this room, as I mentioned before. But keep in mind, please be punctual. For the Breakout 2 session, we should commence at 2:20 p.m. Once again, 2:20 p.m. The Breakout 2 session will start. Alright? Okay, thank you. So, let's have our lunch.